Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weekly Manga Recap. Here on February the 22nd of 2018, I am Nick, here with Chris. We're going to be talking about manga and stuff. Or we could just spend the whole time talking about how good Black Panther was. I mean, we could just do that.
It was great.
It was great.
It was super good. Shit,
Okay.
That's all I had
See you next time on Weekly Manga Recap, everyone.
Michael B. Jordan was great again. Oh, shit. We'll save that for next week. No, I like Black Panther a lot. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. It really was a really great new addition to the whole Marvel universe, and I just really enjoyed it.
It had a really good cast, really, really strong characters, really solid plot line. It was not my favorite Marvel movie, but that's all just comes down to personal preference. Like, I don't think that there's a single thing that I could say about it. They'd be like, oh, if they had done this differently. I think that movie is basically as close to perfect as they've gotten. Like, I don't think that any change that I could suggest would actually improve it. So it's really good. And I love Shuri. I think that she's amazing.
I love the way they captured brother little sister relationship so perfectly, where despite the fact he's the king, she's still fucking shitting on him.
The way that even just like the looks that they give each other, and I love that they have their little sibling handshake. It's like, what dorks. I love it. Oh man. But this is not the MCU podcast, Chris.
No,
so
I used to have one of those too, but
we could eventually make this the WMCUR podcast or something.
I like this. Let's do that.
But we are going to be talking about manga this week, and we are appropriate enough going to be starting with our superhero series. So let's
Black Panther, the new Marvel manga crossover.
I don't know if I want to see a Japanese Black Panther series, Chris. They are a little bit behind the times. Right. So we are still in the midst of the school festival lead up. There is actually a note from Horikoshi Sensei this week that says that this is definitely going to be the most school-ish arc in the manga, probably. So it makes sense that as we learn more and more about our villain for the arc, Gentle, the less scary he seems, really.
I like the way, this opening bit really just goes to establish what kind of a goober he is.
Yeah.
That you just get to that moment. I just jump in hell a bit, but I love him reading the comment section on his YouTube videos, and he's just like, "What are you gonna do?" Like,
oh well.
Like somebody's just like too many jump cuts. He's like, "I try. I don't know what to do."
I really hope that when this makes it into the anime that they keep those like edits in, like you actually see that first crime he commits as the YouTube video or whatever platform it's supposed to be that they're posting to, because it's a little bit difficult to capture that completely with seeing it just through LaBrava's eyes in the manga. So yeah, if you actually see like through the camera and maybe include a little bit of camera movement or something in there to actually kind of make it feel a bit more authentic, and then it just has all the lame jump cuts and stuff, that can do a lot to help it out. Speaking of LaBrava, by the way, looking at the cover page, the first couple of times I saw it, I thought that she had really, really stubby legs and huge feet. That's because Gentle is standing right behind her, and they are wearing the same pattern of pants, so it kind of looks as though his feet are coming out of her legs.
I can see that.
She looks considerably less weird if you realize that, no, those tiny boots are hers. Her hands are still huge in comparison to her feet, though.
She might just be wearing really big gloves, though. It's like reverse Disney, where like instead of the shoes being really big, it's the gloves.
The gloves can be really big in Disney, too.
Well, I'm thinking Kingdom Hearts,
specifically,
where all the characters have super big shoes for some reason.
Yeah, not very good combat attire, are they?
I'm sure it's fine. The Keyblade does all of it. What are you looking for?
No.
You're like, I'm looking up Kingdom Hearts boots.
I also like the little introduction that we get from that first video of Gentles, where he goes over the legendary heroes who have left their mark on history, and then also the legendary villains who have left their mark on history. I really want to see if we get something out of Destro and Oji Harima. Two villains are introduced here.
This feels like some way of introducing them for that purpose. I don't know if maybe I won't see Destro but Metahuman Liberation Army at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like Oji Harima is definitely someone being introduced. Like, he has a very distinct design that I feel like is a way to like introduce that character early on.
He's very One Piece kind of looking.
Yeah, I could see that. Kind of very angular, weird, cool looking.
Big face, big mouth. Yeah. So, apparently, Gentle's account has been blocked as a result of he keeps on posting videos of the crimes that he's committed. So they're just like, well, that violates our terms of service.
He stops a 7-Eleven for unjustly selling expired yogurt, and yet Logan Paul still has a YouTube channel?
That's actually a good point.
I'm making a joke at the time. I really don't care that much.
Well, it's because he doesn't get... I guess he doesn't get enough views, though, Chris.
That's true. If
They're like,
more
no,
teenage girls loved this guy, like if he worked out more and stuff like that, and had a doofy haircut, he'd probably still have his channel.
If there were 2 million more LeBravas in the world, then he would still have his channel, yes. So Gentle kind of gives a bit of narration explaining his whole spiel. He kind of starts to portray himself as a gentlemanly scoundrel, wherein, yes, he commits crimes and stuff, but he commits crimes against those that he considers to be ungentlemanly, that they have done something and he punishes them in accordance with it. Probably disproportionately, but he still does it. And I think that also his justification for himself is kind of tedious, but he's a villain. That makes sense.
It sounds like he's trying to frame himself as like, not a Robin Hood, but this idea of someone trying to do just things for chaotic reason, or like chaotic methods to doing good things. But it is very clear and worth noting that this guy's whole goal is to make himself famous. Like, that's the reason he does it. There's no moral reason behind anything else.
It's part of his image
to do things that way.
He wants to kind of stand out by doing gentlemanly crimes. I also like how we go from this, very elegant, refined, restrained narration about himself. I pass judgment on those who have acted in a distinctly ungentlemanly way. I'm a modern-day gentleman scoundrel. And then the Bravos would be like, this sucks, Gentle!
Do elaborate. I want La Brava to fight Mineta really badly. I don't know why. I want the two of them
just like these two tiny people going,
they're screaming at each other.
You know I have boobs. Also, I get the impression, because during the course of Gentle's explanation, he at one point is just kind of, poses while looking out of the panel, and La Brava is looking out of the frame with him. Now, she is there, which means she's not holding the camera, which means they're not acting for their camera. Is he just straight up breaking the fourth wall in this moment? It's like, hello, dear audience. No, the real audience. I am Gentle.
He knows what the camera is. He's a showman like that.
Yeah, he'd be really good in WWE. He knows how to hit his cameras during his entrance. Also, he would just be a jobber. Let's be real.
I mean, this guy seems like Damien Sandow in a nutshell.
He's already got Ty Dillinger's collar thing.
He does. So that's where Ty Dillinger went. He became a bad guy in fucking the series.
That's the guy.
he got his moment in NXT.
I guess he never really had a chance. They brought him up when he was like 38. So, anywho, so La Brava goes and throws a fit because Gentle hasn't been getting a lot of attention lately because he's been doing this whole shindig, putting his crimes up on the internet for all to see for 6 years. And then Stain came along. The video about him screaming about, who deserves to be a hero went viral. And he wasn't even the person who posted it. As La Brava puts it, just some rotten reposter did it. The rotten reposter. What a supervillain. And also everyone's kind of being influenced right now by the League of Villains in terms of how villains are and what villains get the most attention. So there's not a lot of attention being given out to gentlemen scoundrels at the moment. But Gentle is just like, oh, come on, it is true that shocking acts of violence do capture the public attention, but it goes against my style. But yeah, they are really influential. All their videos have over 10,000 comments. Meanwhile, well, you've seen the comments on mine. I always love it whenever you get a little bit of like internet culture showing up in manga because it's always so crude and I don't know if there has ever been a single instance of like, let's show a little bit of, the internet in a manga and then they come across kind of at all dignified.
Nick,
like,
what are you talking about? What about Air Gear when the third member of Trident was a bunch of internet commenters? Fuck! That makes me so mad when I think about it.
You just had to win their hearts, Chris.
Icky, it's not about what other people think of you. It's about what you think of yourself. Also, what this chat room of strangers thinks of you. You have to earn their respect. None of them might even skate. We don't know. They're all anonymous. But you have to win their respect.
Oh, gosh. But yeah, Gentle just says, like, I'm not going to be discouraged, though. This next cape will be the one to surpass them all. And he says that he's really going to create a big spectacle with this next one. This time it's going to be his masterpiece, basically. To get a bit ahead of ourselves, what he's planning on doing is crashing UA School Festival. A lot of eyes are going to be on it. A lot of eyes are going to be on it. And also, it's going to be putting himself in the minds of the current generation.
He's
which,
like, you gotta advertise to the millennials. They have a very specific way they need to be branded to.
Generation, whatever letter comes after Z, or whatever the UA kids are supposed to be.
They're just, I
don't think that they've ever actually established what year it actually is in My Hero Academia. So.
I think they're still millennials by our standards. I don't know. Yeah, I think so. No.
So.
Yeah. iGeneration, I guess. I don't know.
My Hero Generation. So, as established in the last couple of chapters, Class 1A is going to be doing a sort of cross between a musical performance and a dance, which they're doing for the benefit of all of their schoolmates, so that everyone can have a good time. Apparently, people outside of their class, particularly outside of the hero course, are not thinking of it that way. They're just like, oh, what conceited assholes. They're just doing it in order to flaunt for attention. They're not doing it for anyone besides themselves. And, of course, Bakugo is the one who hears all this because he's just like, assholes, I'll explode them. So we get to Class 1A, where there is a lot of planning going on. Jiro is kind of leading the discussion on stuff because she has the most musical knowledge. And she brings up, well, if you're talking about this and this and this, maybe you want to do EDM, but you guys want to play instruments too. So we're going to have to do that. Hey, by the way, who the hell can play instruments here? Oh, God damn it.
I can play Sugar. Sugar isn't an instrument. I tried.
Get out of here, Sato.
I'm going to be over here eating sugar.
That's my character.
It's just him eating out of a bag of sugar.
Not even like processed sugar, cane sugar. Oh.
He's like, I don't even like it, but it's all I can do. I'm addicted. Somebody help me. They're just like, oh, Saito.
He's trying really, really hard to get his own very special episode because Jiro's getting her moment in the spotlight. He's like, can't I get an outdoors? No.
He keeps playing that episode of Hey Arnold where Chocolate Boy starts going through withdrawals and they have to get him out of it. He's just like, see? It turns out chocolate was actually bad for him, despite the fact that everyone was okay with it before. Help me!
God, what a weird fucking show. Let's do drug addiction and withdrawal with chocolate. Okay.
And the worst part is the episode ends and it still doesn't actually solve the problem. He just moved from chocolate to like radishes. Right. Yeah. And you're just like, I think he's still got a problem.
Yeah. I mean, at least radishes are technically good for him, but yeah, he still has an addiction.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if you ever watched like the anti-chocolate cartoon special in school when you were a kid.
No.
There was literally a kid who had chocolate freckles or something like that. He ate so much chocolate. He ate chocolate with every meal and then for a snack before bed or something like that. And one day he just woke up, he had freckles that were brown because he ate so much chocolate. So he got chocolate spots, I think it was called. And eventually he meets someone who has the cure for chocolate, which is, do you know what the opposite of chocolate is? Vanilla. It's like, yes, here's some vanilla, like some vanilla medicine or something like that. And it makes his chocolate spots go away. And they're like, and now make sure that you don't have so much chocolate anymore. Okay, I'll mix all kinds of candy. He doesn't actually say that, but he might as well if they cure his chocolate with vanilla.
Yeah, what a great solution. That'd be great. He just starts drinking pure vanilla extract. He's like, this tastes bad! They're like, it's the only way to get rid of those chocolate spots.
Considering that I always hated chocolate, even growing up, I was just like, see?
Look, Mom!
For you guys!
Guys! You're all gonna get chocolate spots! I'm the smart, cool kid in school now, because I knew! Aren't I the smart, cool one, guys? You shouldn't eat chocolate! I'll slap it out of your hands for you!
I just, like, grow a bow tie and a pocket protector and glasses and buck teeth all at once.
Your teeth grow out.
Guys! It's bad for you!
Guys, stop eating it! I'll burn it all for you! Guys, now you're all cool like I am. None of you have chocolate.
I need chocolate causes nothing but trouble.
Guys, I brought brown sugar cinnamon Puff-Tarts in and we can all join together because we don't like chocolate.
Oh, God.
We're friends now, right?
Oh, man. So Jiro asks all the kids, hey, so does anyone play bass or drums? Yeah, it's kind of a problem because I'm not especially good at drums. I'm still learning how to play them, and it's going to be bad if I have to teach someone while still trying to, learn myself. But then Kaminari is like, oh, hey, well, you mentioned that you took music lessons at one point, right? And everyone looks at Bakugo. He's like, huh? I do like this little bit of interaction that he gets with Sero. Because Sarah's like, hey, come on, try doing it. No. Oh, what, is it too hard for you? What's that? And he immediately goes...
What drum solo do you think he performs?
Oh, there's clearly only one that he could possibly play, Chris.
What is it?
Which isn't even a drum solo. It's a fill, but yeah.
It's a Phil Collins original.
And immediately Jiro's like, oh, it's great, yes! Okay, good, you're the drummer. He's like, nope, not doing it, fuck off. And then Bakugo proceeds to, over the course of like a page and a half, basically talk himself into joining them. You gotta always have that bit of Bakugo logic whenever he joins in with group activities. He's never just gonna go, it's like, yeah, let's do it. He's always got to be like, no, you assholes. Yes. Essentially he brings up the point of everyone is just, going to take this the wrong way. The whole point is to actually help people, but that's where the ones that are actually stressing them out to begin with. And so they're never going to accept our help. They're not going to accept this coming from a bunch of people that they hate. As he puts it, it ain't gonna work just singing Kumbaya. Fair enough.
I like that the immediate response for it is, why do you have to be such an asshole? It's just like, I don't know. I feel like you can shout that out a lot of Bakugo.
Like, I'm a realist. But he expresses frustration because it's always them that are getting attacked by the villains and having to deal with them. Why do we got to be a bunch of sappy people pleasers? Stop trying to lick their stupid boots and hand them where it counts. Don't make friends, make them hurt instead. Gotta do this right. Take everyone at UA and murder them with music. Which, I mean, good luck with that, Bakugo, but okay.
Now imagine the Phil Collins drum solo after that. They're like, and murder them with music. Do 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 do. You're like, perfect.
I mean, I guess if this were, Metalocalypse instead of My Hero Academia, then he could murder them with music. But I don't wouldn't work particularly well.
He wouldn't intentionally murder them with music.
Nah.
Byproducts unrelated to them that are after them, or just forces of nature, would end up killing all the rest of them.
Or it wouldn't just be their music. It would be like their supreme amounts of neglect when setting up their huge stage shows, and they would just shoot pyro like directly into the crowd and stuff.
Ignorance. What would you like to name that hurricane? Scrambles. Scrambles the Death Dealer. It's still like one of the best jokes in that show. Scrambles the Death Dealer destroys Florida.
Oh, God. Or when they bury their mangy goddamn cat and they cause a cataclysm because they just drop a giant fucking coffin into the desert. I love Metalocalypse.
Great show.
Yeah. So everyone's like, yeah, all right, we got Bakugo on board, and Ida observes, hey, Bakugo's the one who got kidnapped by the League of Villains back in the day, so he's bearing quite a bit of burden here. But Hagakure is just really, really happy. She cheers along with Jiro, and Jiro is like, I'll do my best. And she uses her earphones to do a cute little guts pose, Chris. It's adorable.
I thought they were just swinging upwards.
No, they're flexing.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's what I'm choosing to believe, Chris.
Go for it. You choose what you need to believe. Use all your disbelief now so you don't have any left when it comes time to deny we never learned free pizza bet.
She's just really happy that her friend...
Yeah, she just has a nosebleed over her platonic friendship.
Like people haven't gotten nosebleeds over weirder stuff in that series. Anyway, that's basically the end of the chapter. So there's the two developments. Gentle is going to be doing something at the school festival. Bakugo is the drummer. Presumably, over the next couple of chapters, we'll get to see who is their bass player and maybe their singer. But that's about it. So, yes, it is still very laid back, and it looks as though there's a sign that, yeah, there was a villain that's going to be doing stuff, but chill for the rest of this arc. Okay. If we don't have anything else, then let's go on to Food Wars. Shokugeki no Soma. This is a weird chapter. I mean, every chapter of Food Wars is weird, but still.
I'm curious if this is meant to be... Well, one, I find interesting is this is the cover page is a continuation from last week's, where we can now see Rindo is literally chasing Azami, Saito to eat her egg.
In this series, he hasn't been in a manga. Well, no, new Prince of Tennis is still playing. Never mind.
But I'm curious if this chapter was a response to something, or if it was just like, look, I've drawn this one chick naked 17 times now. I want to draw new naked chicks.
I want to draw someone who's busty already without having to have her tits grow big in the imaginative spot. Yes, so it's chapter 251, Uninvited Guests. And there's only just the one showdown left in the fourth bout between Takumi and Rindo. And all of a sudden, Azami pops in and calls attention to himself and says that he's going to change the judges panel midway through the, well, 2/3 more like through the Team Shokugeki. Yeah, he's just like, I'm going to become the head judge. And since I'm the primary sponsor and organizer of the Shokugeki, I was going to remain a spectator. But, I want to try out some of Central's food. So you three can leave. Bye. And, of course, everyone in the Polaris store was like, what the fuck? You can't do that. I do appreciate that he's doing something this ridiculous, and over the course of the discussion over it, he's being so goddamn blatant with how rigged this is. And everyone is raising objections like, no, this makes no sense. You can't be neutral. Your entire life's work is on the line, and you're making yourself the judge in the thing that is on the line. Come on. But Une also points out, like, you also can't just be the sole judge. That's not how a panel of judges in a Shokugeki works.
He's like,
you have to have three.
You don't understand. It'll be myself and my friend from Mexico, Azamito puts on a mustache and some
Hola.
He's like, hola, I am here to judge. And, of course, our
Say
third
something else in Spanish.
Taquitos.
Damn it.
He got us. And then, of course, our third friend, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he's just like, oh, hello, everybody. He doesn't even change his face. He's just doing an Arnold impression.
Just the worst Arnold impression ever.
Hi, guys. It's me, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Here to do my stuff.
It was me, the guy who was in Rambo. That was Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, yeah. I'm here too, then. It's me, Sylvester Stallone. Here to be a boxing guy.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, just gonna be Sylvester Stallone. You know, what you gonna do, but...
You're still a skinny Japanese man.
I lost a little weight. You know, Rocky's supposed to be old now. He's dying, so, you know, he loses a little weight, and who's to say Rocky wasn't Japanese? You were Italian. Your nickname was the Italian Stallion.
Japanese man in Creed 2.
Yeah. You haven't watched the whole narrative. There's some real big twists coming to explain why I'm here like this. But give me some food. Also, you already lose Takumi. Get out of here.
In response to Une pointing out that he can't just be the sole judge, there have to be at least 3 judges. Azami waves his hand and says, I actually have 2 extra judges who are going to be helping out, 2 trustworthy guests to join me. And Une recognizes them immediately as Decora and Courage. Does anyone besides her work for the WGO and have a remotely normal name? Because, like, Histoire, Courage.
I feel like what happens is when you get the job, they're like, well, no one can know your true name, so you get to make up a fake name, and everyone picks out super cool names. And then one person was like, I'll just stay with Umi. They're like, that's fucking whatever, fine. Everyone else has these cool, elaborate names, and that's why they don't like her very much. But I love Decora's design. I thought she looked super cool.
I like her design.
Courage, I'm not crazy about.
Decora has, like, the I'm going to have vaguely cross-shaped earrings that don't make me look like a jackass.
They won't even censor those when they make the American version, the 4Kids version of this series.
Exactly
Holy shit! What would 4Kids dub of Food Wars be? Like this.
Oh no! This tentacle monster is picking me up and doing nothing remotely sexual to me. Oh no! My clothes flew off and my swimsuit is on underneath it. I'm so embarrassed to be seen in my swimsuit.
This tentacle monster's tickling me. It's so good.
Oh gosh. So they immediately start ragging on Une. It's like, first off, they said, like, have you forgotten that we were the ones who made your palette what it is today? Like, was there some sort of lesbian experience that happened here? Because there's so much sexualization that goes on with these two characters in this one chapter. I wouldn't be surprised. But then they just start being like fucking bullies, just like total goddamn high school bitches to her. Oh my gosh, are you rebelling against us because your figure did not grow as robust as your palate did? It's like, what the fuck? And Une's even just like, did you just come here just to make fun of me in front of a crowd? And then Courage's like, you were such a klutz. Fortunately, one of my favorites on my tablet is you in a really frumpy sweater with stupid glasses. It's actually my wallpaper.
They're like, this makes you seem more sad than me at this point. You seem like you've reached such a level of success and you can't get hung up over someone who was worse off than you.
I kind of like Une a bit more because she's not immediately like, oh, senpai, no. She's just more like, what the fuck? Stop being an asshole to me.
So I want to just pay special attention to something. So when we first see Dakora, she has a pretty, like, relatively understandable build for what the series has. In the immediate next full body shot of her, she swung her chest up so much that her breasts make an enormous jiggle sound effect, as I believe they then have after hour like boosters come up to keep them inflated in midair throughout this sentence.
Well, you know, she's making herself seem important, Chris, so she's thrusting her chest out. Like,
oh, like a baboon would do, or like some other animal, like a what animal thrusts out their chests? Lions? Do lions do that?
I don't know, Chris.
I'm gonna say a cat. An awesome cat.
I guess
Meerkat! Meerkats do that, don't they? They did that in Lion King.
Chris, stop asking me.
Nick, how many miles to the moon?
I don't know, at least 5.
Nick, what happened to Brendan Fraser? Is he okay?
Oh, did you see that interview too?
No, I just saw it. I saw he was trending, and that's why.
It's actually very like heart wrenching. Really,
he's just like, no one wants me.
Well, that was part of it, but basically it was like he kind of like collapsed under the pressure, and you know, he was getting older, so he fell into depression. But hopefully he's making his comeback now with the.
Maybe they'll make a new Mummy with him that isn't just garbage.
Hopefully he's making a bit of a comeback. As more of a character actor now that he's older and getting more roles. Anyway, not only do they make fun of Une, but then Dekora points out Kinokuni and Megumi, and she's like, you see those two pigtail girls over there? If you mix them together and split them down the middle, that'd be close to Une's degree of clottishness. And it's like, why do they insult me? And Megumi's just like, clottish.
I love that Soma heard this. I love that Soma heard this and didn't give a fuck about it because he's immediately like, huh, so in a way you're like Miss Une's senpai. Doesn't like try to comfort her. Like Ishiki starts laughing at her, which I guess you can kind of get when they share somewhat of almost like a brother-sister like close family relationship. But Soma just flat out ignores
his best friend.
And he's just like, that's interesting. Megumi, could you sulk over there? It's disturbing my thoughts.
Go be clottish somewhere else.
Megumi, get your frumpy clottish face away from me so I can think in peace.
Oh, man. Help me out with my cookie later, buddy. So Rindo gets pretty pissed off over this development because she's like, what the fuck are you doing butting into my match over this? Come on, get out of here. And actually, I love the way that she phrases it because she's like, what do you think you're doing butting into my match? How about you butt yourself right back out? Oh, gosh. But Azami actually says that Senzemon has also approved of this.
What? Why would he approve, Nick?
So there's got to be some sort of explanation for why he approved of this. There's got to be a really good reason. Presumably, it's got to be some sort of very, I will show you the error of your ways directly by forcing you to taste the difference in, these kids' dishes versus yours. But if there's something more to it, that'd be interesting to find out.
It'd be great if he's like, I'm senile. I'm old.
I did that!
I wasn't paying attention. I thought he asked if I wanted pepperoni on my pizza, and I was like, yeah, totes, I love the peps. Until I found out.
Aaron and us are like, oh my gosh, his grandfather was just being held together by his job, like Joe Paterno.
Yeah, I was like, once I lost it, it all just fell apart.
Raisins!
I don't want raisins on my pizza. Who said that? Tell them to get out of here. This job was my XFL. When it failed, I left.
I'm just going to have to set it on fire.
I'll burn it all. Like, oh God, is this what happens to old men when they stop having a job?
I also love we immediately get back-to-back ignorant asshole Soma references because Azami is like, since making the trip back to Japan, I haven't had a chance to taste my beloved daughter's cooking. Someone interrupted me during the Moon Festival. And Soma's being like, huh? Someone crashed your dinner? What an asshole! What kind of person would do something like that? Oh, man. You were there! You saw him walking out! Oh gosh. Une still doesn't completely get out of the way, though. She says, in order to make sure, at least, that you aren't completely biased in your judgment, at least allow one of us to still sit in on the judge's table. And I'm going to be like, yeah, okay. And immediately just tips his hand that these two are not even in his pocket, they're in his pants. Because he's like, I'm sorry, Courage, there is no seat left for you. And she's like, well, I wouldn't mind sitting in your lap instead, Sir Azami. Come on, guys!
He's like, girl, what are you doing? My family's here. Keep this shit under wraps.
like JFK with Marilyn Manson. I was like, not here. Marilyn Monroe, sorry. Marilyn Manson did not go.
He's like, hey there.
Hey, Mr. President.
The beautiful people, the beautiful people.
Mr. President. Not here, man.
Get out of here. I think in this timeline you're like 7 too. Get out of here.
Oh, man. So, of course, all of the peanut gallery in the Polaris Storm cage are super pissed off over this. But Soma sees this as an opportunity, eccentric as he is, thinking, hey, this is actually a lucky break for us. Yeah, you tell him, Yukihira! Wait, what? And he sees it as a chance to get, first of all, Azami off of his high horse for this development, and now they have a chance to punch him with their cooking flavor. And everyone just kind of like, huh, except for Hisako, who goes, Yukihira! Odd choice, but okay.
Well, she thinks it. She doesn't say it. She thinks it. She's nervous, I guess.
She thinks, Yukihira!
I often do that. I often think a person's name instead of just saying it.
Meanwhile, Senseimon's just kind of like going,
did I wear pants today? Wait a minute. I'm wearing bacon. What did I have with eggs this morning, then?
This full beard seemed like a wonderful, majestic thing initially, but now I find it really itchy. I just have to burn it off.
I'll burn it off with fire. It just holds out like a torch in one of those aerosol cans. So sir, there's got to be a safer way to do this. He's like, nonsense! You kids today have it easy.
Do not question your dean. I'm old and wise. I make great decisions.
You may be millennials, but I'm a billennial. God damn it! They're like, what does that mean? He's just like, it means I set my face on fire.
So Rindo is really pissed off over this whole thing, and she starts to channel her rage into her cooking. And we get the reveal that her and Takumi's special ingredient is spear squid. So she is getting going. Then we get a flashback from Takumi's perspective as people realize, he seems to be really paying a lot of attention to Rindo. Is he actually, following Miyamasaka's advice and trying to trace her or really observe her at like a proper stalker? But we get a flashback to when everyone was preparing for this bout, and Megishima ended up coming over and saying a quick something to Takumi. Regarding Rindo, which is, because he's, Takumi's just like, hey, I'm going to do everything I can in order to bring in the victory and to bring home the W. And Megashima says, yeah, you should do that because I wasn't able to do her a favor by beating her. And Takumi's like, And Megashima says, out of everyone, the one person who's been the most conflicted from the start about this whole Team Shokugeki thing is Rindo Kobayashi. So give her everything you got for her sake. So I like this development, and we get a little bit more of it as, like Takumi's just closely observing Rindo, and he thinks that he sees a moment as if she's a wild animal sensing danger and is puffing herself up in a desperate attempt to look more threatening. And that's just right before she plates her dish and starts to present to the judges. And I like this development because Rindo has always had the most interesting, plotline going on out of everyone in Central. So even if she decides to, fight with everything she's got through to the end, to see this actual, character stuff going on as opposed to I beat you with my dish would be cool to see. Explore a bit of the conflict going on with her, or even just like her being pissed off over, not always getting to get exactly her way. So
it's an interesting way to go about this. I dig it immensely from that angle, that they're doing something more than just Rindo's a better chef than you are, Takumi, and that's how she wins.
Right. But that is the chapter. So let's move over to Dr. Stone.
It's time to get stoned! Boom!
You going Super Saiyan over there, man?
I did that and a DX chop at the end.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I also knocked my keyboard out.
So it's chapter Z equals 46, Stone Wars.
Oh, you said Stone War. All right, never mind.
Yes. So last time we got the reveal that Tsukasa is heading towards the village, getting ready to invade. I want to know, because it comes up a number of times in this chapter. Was Gen always randomly throwing in a bit of Pig Latin when he was talking with people? Because it happens twice in this one chapter.
Maybe? I don't know. I haven't been paying attention that much. I'm going to assume yes.
So when Gen reported back to Tsukasa, Tsukasa decided, well, if he didn't actually see his body, then there is a chance that he might be alive, and there is a chance that he is starting up his kingdom of science. So we should go and crush them immediately. We will take the village by force now. So they're on their way in order to stop them. And Gen explains, he's been building up his forces. He's been depetrifying people. But the most dangerous ones are Tsukasa himself and Hyoga, who was recently revived. If one of them is leading the war party, then your only option is to flee. And we cut to Kinro and Ginro on the bridge. Kinro is doing his duty, standing guard, and he spots something in the shadows of the trees. And it's actually a pretty intimidating shot of all of these, very gone native looking dudes with spears and weapons ready, gathered up in the shadows, ready to strike. And so Kinra's like, Kinra, you've got to go and alert everyone. I'll hold them off here. And if I'm killed, cut down the bridge with me so that they'll be safe. We then immediately are introduced to Hyoga, who I don't know how this guy managed to do this, but he has styled his animal hide into this, black ninja garb, with the face covered and stuff. admittedly, he does look really cool.
That's like the one scientific advancement that Tsukasa's people got. They're like, cool ninja masks. What do we need, like, water and food and stuff? They're like, why would we need that when we could have ninja masks?
So one of Tsukasa's goons rushes in and tries to attack Kinro, and he immediately knocks him on his ass. And he was like, what the hell are you doing trying to attack a narrow space with a sword when the guy's got a spear? You idiot. So he steps up to challenge Kinro instead. And he immediately realizes that Kinro has poor eyesight. And we cut away from there to, again, still explaining stuff to people. He establishes that he managed to convince them to just let him go ahead. But he's like, oh, I will infiltrate their ranks and influence them. But at that moment, Ginro comes running up, says that the enemy is here, and warns them all. We then see Hyoga striking at Kinro with his spear. And we actually get a really good shot of it at one point, and we see that there is like a small bit of tube that he's got around the spear. So presumably that has to do with the way that it's twisting and he's moving it quickly, striking faster than Kinro thinks should be possible. And eventually he actually just gets him right in the gut with it. Blood. He stabs him like in the stomach. He falls off the bridge, but manages to grab Hyoga's ankle before he falls, and he tells Ginro to cut the bridge down. People are trying to go and help, and Ginro refuses to cut the bridge down. He's like, no, I couldn't do that because you're my brother. Aww.
They're good brothers. It's sad for him.
He managed to cry quite a bit in a few seconds, though. He
got them One Piece tears where they just manifest themselves in huge globs at once.
So Senku launches a plan right away. He uses the last bit of gunpowder they have in order to do this. And he gets stuff ready with the torches that they've got set out. And then again, quickly realizes what he's doing, and he's like, "Hey, so who's the strongest guy here, physically strongest?" And Chrome's like, "I guess it's definitely Magma." So again, it's like, "Hey, Magma, here, take this rock and throw it at those guys." And I was like, "Well, I could never hit them from here. Also, why the fuck should I help you?" And Gen says, "Well, you don't need to actually hit them. Just get it near them. And also, hey, if the village is lost, you can't steal the chiefdom from Senku." Fine. Logic. So Senku sets off the last of the gunpowder that they have in a metal tube while Magma throws the rock. So it makes it appear as though he shot a gun and the blast has landed in the water down below the bridge. And Gen immediately, grabs the gun from Senku and is like, "Oh, they've developed firearms, Hyoga. You guys should run." And the rest of Tsukasa's goons immediately panic and run for it. But Hyoga's still standing at the bridge because he's a badass and he has no fear. He's like, so you must be that guy, the infamous one that he was talking about. And Senku confirms that, yep, and you guys have given me plenty of time because I already have my Kingdom of Science up and running. So go on, tell Tsukasa that Senku Ishigami is still alive. That's where the chapter ends.
Senku's alive, Nick?
What?
Oh, wow, that's so cool. I didn't see that coming. Thought he was dead. Hey, it's a good chapter, though. It's the immediate threat that this group is there, that there is someone in the group already established to be a terrifying presence alongside Tsukasa. We have glimpses that there might be even more of them, too. So it's a really interesting way to build up this threat of the other world. I like that the Kingdom of Science, again, has kind of won through this bluff. It's very, very Haruma-esque to have thrown it all on a
cerebral, yeah,
like a gamble, a trick. So I like that a lot. I'll be curious to see where it goes from here. I don't know what they're going to do with Ginro. That might be a pretty bad blow, so I wonder if he'll still have a part to play in all of this, but we shall see.
Yeah, I didn't really see one of Tsukasa's generals, so to speak, being introduced so early. But I think that now I look at it, it's important that they did that because now you don't have to think, oh, well, it's just a bunch of guys and Tsukasa's the only one they have to worry about. So, well, the more intimidating villains you have to deal with, the more interesting it is.
Absolutely. All right. Let's move on to We Never Learned, question 51. With the changing seasons, a genius experiences the sorrow of X. So, Nick, have you ever cut your hair or done something with your hair and, a member of the opposite sex or, somebody you fancied just didn't notice it and you got infuriated?
No.
No, because we're strong-ass dudes and we don't care about stupid things like a change in hair color, god damn it. No,
I have a tendency to, however, notice these changes. Let me tell you something, guys. If you notice when a girl cuts her hair and you just make, even if they're not someone you're romantically interested in, if you just make a nice comment about it, it goes a long way.
I've learned this lesson from my sister, my older sister, as well as my mother. If you find out that someone has gone to get a haircut, compliment it when they get back. Just say, your hair looks really good. It means the world.
Because it's something that they have gone to the trouble about changing their own appearance. It's something that they feel like they've taken a risk on. And it shows that they have done something that they care about doing in order to alter their appearance. So if you give them feedback on it that's positive, they appreciate it. Okay? That's all that it comes down to.
So, with that said, this chapter is all about this situation we get into, as it starts with Ogata trying to trim her bangs before the school season starts, and her dad walks in, wants to spend a moment with her, and because of that, she gets nervous and accidentally clips too much of her bangs and has to basically clip them a much shorter than normal. As a result.
Rizu's dad, by the way, is super fucking annoying at this point. We're just just go away.
I love this dude. I admire him. You're like, it's a dad who wants to spend time with this little girl. I mean, it's weird he barged into the bathroom while she was in it without asking first or anything. But, he's a dad. He loves his kid. He wants to spend time with her. What are you going to do?
No, he needs to die.
All right, fair enough. This same situation actually happened to me, Nick, except instead of my dad, it was my cat. And instead of cutting my hair, it was putting a contact lens in. Well, also instead of barging, he threw himself against the door, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I accidentally lost the contact in my eye for 2 months. God. For 2 months.
Jeez.
I kept wearing contacts. I thought I had dropped it on the ground, just lost it, and then one day my eye was really bothering me, and I was like, "I just gotta get my contact out. I think I lost it." And I reached up and I pulled out 2 contact lenses.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I had one in there for 2 months.
Jesus Christ!
It's a good time. So, Rizu's hair's changed, and she's a little nervous about it, but her friends are pretty complimentary towards it. They're like, it makes you look a little younger, but it looks cute on you,
Well, they have a weird reaction, though, because they're like, what happened to you? And she's like, oh, my hand slipped, I was cutting it. But then she's like, does it look weird? And they're immediately like, And then they break out the compliments. So it's like, are they lying?
Yeah, probably. You know what?
She looks cute. She looks fine.
I saw this in action today while I was at work. One of our managers got a haircut, and it was a lot shorter. And one girl was walking by, and she's like, "You got your hair cut?" And he's like, "Does it look good?" She's like, "Yeah." He's like, "No, it doesn't. It looks like shit." She's like, "Oh, thank God. Yeah, it looks garbage. You look like you're bald on one side, and then you have like a tuft on top. It's terrible." So yeah, they might have thought it looked terrible, and they were just like, "It'll be nice." I don't know.
But she doesn't look terrible.
That's because Rizu is your number one waifu, Nick. You of course.
No, she's not.
All right, Araka is. That's right. Takamoto, whatever her name is. Uruka. Anyways, Uruka. There you go. So then Yueka shows up, and Ogata is avoiding making any kind of face-to-face contact with him, literally moving her head away as he would turn to look at her, and then just dashing away. she runs to the women's restroom where she's like, why is Naruyuki the only person I'm self-conscious around? It doesn't look that weird, right? I'll apologize properly. And that's when Shikicho shows up next. She bursts open and she's like, hey, Ogata, long time no see. It's your best buddy of all time. I'm rocking a new look for the new term. What do you think? And then she
looks nice.
Yeah. And she sees Ogato and she's like, did you make yourself over for me? And she starts having a nosebleed. She's like, I can die happy now. Some would say that's free pizza worthy, but you know, I know that for Nick it won't be,
Chris,
because she literally didn't like start French kissing her.
Sometimes, Chris, when your friends do something for you, then you get really happy about it. I know for a fact that if you made yourself over for me, that I too will get a nosebleed and decide I could die.
I'm gonna show up with fucking mutton chops next week, like really good design ones, and I want you to fucking get a nosebleed over how excited you are about that.
I don't know, man. I think that this is just going to remain a soy fun situation. I don't think that there's ever going to be any actual, like, she actually definitely loves her. I think it's just going to be a weird obsession.
All right. Fair enough. I do like the joke they make out of it, though, where Ogata just assumes because Shikicho fell to her knees, he's like, are my bangs so weird that it brought her to her knees?
I mean, honestly, given the way that her friends reacted, I could understand that.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, looks good.
So,
like, imagine Seikiju could be like, oh, looks good. Okay.
Starts vomiting. So, it cut to a 4-person study group.
This is so weird.
I thought this is fucking hysterical. And Yuika's like, can I ask you a question, oh gosh? She's like, sure, what is it? Why are you wearing this mask? She's wearing this very goofy, giant, like, mask.
Chris, that is the mask that you would put on, like, a living doll in a horror movie.
Yes.
That thing, I need to know where Rizu got that mask so I can burn the building down.
And I like that
terrifying.
It's a terrifying mask. It's also enormous. It's like she has big head mode on in an N64 game, and her response is just ignore it. It's all these shots of her like it's her like trying to drink water through it and everything like that. But it doesn't work out. So Yuega
actually drinks more normally while she's wearing the mask, because she drinks the way a normal person would while wearing something so obtrusive, because she has to have one that adjusts the straw and one that adjusts the mask, as opposed to
Fumino takes the mask off because she doesn't want this around anymore, basically. And Yuiga's like, oh, good. You seem totally fine and normal. That's a relief. You're the same as ever. And all the girls are like, the same as ever? You fucking pig! You goddamn monster, Yuiga! I'm gonna kick your balls until they explode!
I don't... Okay, look. I know that the joke is that guys don't notice these changes. Ogata's bangs. Her bangs, which get in the way of you seeing eyes when you make eye contact, which I'm sure Yuiga is always very careful to do, given all the situations he has landed in. They're not there anymore. They're like 4 inches shorter. How can you not notice that?
I 100% know I can't notice it. Look, Nick, my sister's changed hair color, hairstyle, bang style in one cut, and I still didn't notice it or say anything for once. It happens, all right? Sometimes you're an ignorant dude and you don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I've sympathized with Yuiga, though. He's happy that she's the same. He was worried that something had happened to her. But of course, all the girls are really angry because, like, how the fuck didn't you notice her hair, you insensitive monster? So basically, she leaves, and he kind of like is chasing her down, and he's apologizing because he doesn't know. He knows that she changed something because that's what all the girls were angry about, but he doesn't know what she changed, and she's really sad because, you know, she was agonizing over everything about this, and then he didn't notice. So
I totally understand that. Yeah. Honestly, she's been all that time worrying over it, and then he doesn't even realize it. So yeah, of course you'd be like, well, you don't know. Are you fucking kidding me?
So Uega says, "Can you give me one last chance to figure it out?" And she's like, "All right, fine." And he's like, "All right, so it's not a ribbon. Your glasses are the same. Your backpack.
Did your boobs get bigger again?"
He's like, "Your boobs are the same." Hold on. Yeah, they're still the same size. And she's like,
"Wait a minute. How do you know that from a feel? Have you done this before?" No.
Yeah. So
yes.
and she's like, he's guessing at things right now. Even if he gets it right, it's not going to matter because it's just a hollow sort of thing right now. And finally he says, "I got it. It's your expression." And she's like, "What? No, you're totally wrong." And he's like, "No, I mean, it's definitely true because you're not frowning as much as you used to. You put way more emotion into your face right now. And as your tutor, I take that as a sign of some trust developing. That's really nice."
You know, he's actually right.
Yeah, he is actually. And it's very sweet because it takes Ogata back and she says, "Yeah, you got it." And, you can call me Ogata for the time being. It's
calling her Rizu is a little bit too much for her right now. So
it's very cute. And then, of course, the chapter ends with her back at home and her dad's like, "You seem to be in a good mood. You're not mad at Daddy anymore." She's like, "You had to stay a 30-minute out of a 30-minute mile rate or meter radius of me." He's like, "I can't be in the house then."
Good. Die in the streets.
Die in the cold, you old worthless douche.
I really like this chapter.
Nick, we never learn is better than Nisekoi.
You be quiet. Don't you dare fucking take us down the road again. I have to admit, though, one of the reasons I really like it is because it's such a goddamn relief to have this kind of stuff happen instead of getting another Kirisu chapter, to get another fan service chapter, or to get both in one, to be focused instead on one of the three primary girls and give her a plotline that doesn't revolve entirely around, sexual situations. So I feel as though if we got this chapter maybe about, 20 chapters ago, then maybe I wouldn't take so much note of it. But I'm just really glad that we're back to this, getting much more character-focused stuff. We got a Rizu chapter, and not once did they actually go like, "Your tits are big, huh?" So
they got a lot of those out.
Which feels like it's been her entire thing for the last 10 chapters she's appeared in or something like that. So
yeah, I definitely like it. I like the sentiment at the end too, where he may not have noticed the physical change about her, but he noticed an emotional one, and that means a lot. So,
good stuff.
Good one.
All right. Let us move on then to The Promised Neverland, Chapter 75, Unyielding Reed. Chris, Reed Richards says that we have to keep on having cancer in the world. He's not going to back down at this point.
Yeah, he's stalwart in it. The world is better with cancer in it, Nick.
Unyielding Reed Richards. So,
that sounds. How all the Marvel characters have their own the Amazing Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, the Unyielding Reed sounds like the one for him, and it's just him being like, "Sir, we're all out of Coke products. Would Sprite work?" "No." I am
Sprite
unyielding.
Is a Coke product.
He's like, "I am unyielding. I want a Coke. You get me a Coke."
Would a Diet Coke be all right? No!
No, it will not! I am unyielding!
You are literally made of elastic.
And yet, I won't bend on this.
I cannot stretch my tastes.
They're like, "I fucking hate Reed Richards so much.
If I don't get a Coke, there's no way I can bounce back."
He's like, I want a McRib.
Do it.
"Sir, we haven't had the McRib in months." "Well, I will wait here until you get me a McRib." They're like, I fucking hate it when Reed Richards comes to McDonald's. He's such a prick. I hate this guy so much.
He's such a middle-aged white dude.
He's like, "I believe there should be an all-white screening of Black Panther as well." "I'm unyielding on this."
Sue's just like, "You just don't like the way that he was hitting on me."
I'm just saying. We're going to do all one way we should do. What's White History Day?
When do we get a White Panther?
comment on this.
It's a shame that this guy isn't actually a manga character. God.
When's Wonder Man coming out? They're like, it's an actual character.
Yeah, I know that there's a female Thor, but why can't we get a male lady, male Mary Marvel?
When's Dude Thor coming back? Dude Thor is coming back. God damn it, he never even left. He
just called himself Odinson. Which, if anything, emphasizes his maleness. Oh, God. All right. Shit. Okay, so... Last chapter, we got the explanation of where Norman was, what Norman was up to, where he had been, and Adam was the one who noticed him by his number. We don't actually ever see how he got from there to here, but that's kind of used as a transition to get back to Goldie Pond, where Emma is practicing with a pistol. And actually doing pretty well with it. She manages to hit a target with it and stuff. So, hey, good job, Emma. You learned how to shoot a fucking gun. From there, we just kind of learned a bunch of different things about the planning that's going on. She basically has learned from this point that all the other kids actually knew how to kill the demons for a while because Lucas told them the secret, go for the head. But in order to hide this information from the demons so that they couldn't, act upon it.
Sorry, someone in the chat posted something that's infinitely hilarious to me. Josh Free says, the Green Goblin cured cancer, but only to put into bullets to kill Deadpool. Which is such a hilarious supervillain move. To kill one person. Like, that's such a great Green Goblin move.
I'm sure that you've seen the panel from the comic where Spider-Man is confronting Sauron. Yeah. And he's on the back of a Triceratops. Wait, you've mastered genetics and you can manipulate like this? You could use that to cure cancer. Why are you using that to turn people into dinosaurs? And Sauron, of course, goes, I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs.
Yep. Good old Elliot Kaling did that one. That's a great comic book. Plot pass, everybody.
I don't want to cure people's cancer. I want to kill Deadpool.
I just love the effort of doing it. I want to kill this man, so I need to get rid of his disease.
I must accomplish the holy grail of current medicine. Just to kill a man. So anyway, the kids have basically only been acting in self-defense this whole time, as opposed to rising up against demons because they were waiting for the right time. And they actually have lost stuff in the process. They have lost comrades because they couldn't actually completely fight back properly. But everything that they've been working towards is coming up to this one plan, and they're going to do this. They're determined to actually, kill their captors, even though they know that they can't let their guard down, especially because of Grand Duke Luvis. And they tell Emma about how when they first came to Goldie Pond, Lucas and his best friend, they were doing pretty well in the hunting ground. They had a strategy down. They could use weapons efficiently. But then Luvis zeroed in on them and basically did the same thing that he's doing with Emma. Killed their comrades one by one in order to enrage them. And I think that we might actually see the moment where he's torn off Lucas's arm, but I'm not sure. So the plans basically went up in smoke as a result of that. He was just too powerful and sadistic. They also say that Luvis is insane. I don't know. For a guy who hunts humans for sport, he seems relatively rational-minded to me.
Yeah.
But they say that makes him more unpredictable because he is insane. We then go over to... Oh, gosh, what is this kid's name? the kid that wasn't killed. The kid that
Did they say his name? Theo.
They say his name, but I fucking lost. Theo. And Violet has approached him by this point. First off, she punched him in the face and told him to eat, which I like. Like, fucking eat this, asshole. But then she also apologizes because, she failed to save his family. She didn't do anything to protect his family. And she feels some amount of guilt over that. And she says that, in this moment, they're going to get revenge, not just for Theo's family, but also for hers, for the people that she has lost on the way. She's going to die, isn't she?
I mean, we might lose a lot of characters here. I mean, who knows? The series has been trying to be pretty big on kids not dying as much. They have, though, lost a couple here, and that seems to be the strategy of this guy, is to enrage people to bring out their best. So Emma's got a brand new group of friends with all distinct designs and stuff like that could be very potentially picked off for this.
Mm-hmm. And so from that conversation that he had with Violet, Theo realizes, hey, everyone who's here has lost something. Everyone is in pain. Everyone is angry. And he's angry about what happened to his brother and sister. But I couldn't do anything. They were just laughing at us. So he asks her, do you think that we can actually, do this? Can we stop everyone's suffering? And Emma says, yes. Even if the enemy is strong and powerful, and we are smaller and weaker, they crush us many times and take everything away from us, we will rise up. Humans are not weak. This won't be an empty dream. Let's end this at the next hunt. So yeah, let's eat today and gather strength and prepare for the hunt, which might be as soon as tomorrow. And then an alarm goes off because the hunt is happening right now. Well, that was surprising, but yeah, they're just like, fuck it, more hunting. And everyone's got to rush to their position because, like, shit, we gotta do the plan.
Yeah.
We also get a really awesome group shot of all the hunters approaching the hunting ground with Luvis at the front. It's a really cool group shot. I like it. And everyone's like, "What the hell? It's only been a day since the last hunt. Why are they doing this so fast?" But presumably Luvis is responsible for this. I mean, he has a big sinister grin on his face as they're approaching. So.
I like how they even note, they're like, Luvis is insane. They don't even try to hide that fact, basically. They're like, Luvis is a madman.
So that's it. That's the chapter. And presumably the next one is going to be about the next hunt. So,
indeed it will. All right. Let's move on. 7 Deadly Sins, chapter 255, Child of Hope. In a similar theme to the Promised Neverland, this chapter is all about how humans are not weak. As this chapter deals primarily with Arthur. There's a brief bit at the beginning where Merlin is planning to go off ahead to save Arthur, and Escanor is very staunchly against this. He is like, he's not worth putting yourself in danger for. And Merlin gives him that side glance of like, shut your mouth. Fuck you. Like Hawk brings up a point, or is it Hawk or Mama Hawk? That's Hawk. It's like,
would it be Mama Hawk?
I don't know. The eyes looked very like, I don't know. It looked like they were like the feminine eyelash.
Yeah, but he's not a giant, Chris.
I don't know. I forget how many stupid pigs are in this series. All right,
2.
Well, whatever. Anyway, Merlin's
Unless you count Merlin because she's got the pig tattoo.
Okay, that counts. All right, Hawk is like, well, why are you willing to stick your neck out that far from him anyway? He hasn't woken his magic yet. And I like how Escanor's like, yeah! Like, you didn't even know that! Shut up! But Merlin says...
I love Hawk and Escanor's interactions.
But Merlin just says that he's someone who will lead Britannia and is the child of hope who has been chosen by the sacred sword. So that's enough for her to go out and make sure that he survives. So we cut back to Arthur, who's about to square off against Zeldris, Melodius, Chandler, and the
Chandler. Other one.
The one whose name I don't remember. So Melodius has this thing of like, hey, I like the look in your eyes. You're nothing like the little crybaby who couldn't protect Merlin last time. And he's like, you're no longer the Melodius I know. And they're like, all right, well, you're fucked because you're alone against the four of us. What could you possibly do?
No, actually, it is you who are alone against the one of me. Wait, that doesn't really work.
He's like, shit, wait, hold on. All right, look, the sword gives me a lot of powers. It doesn't give me math skills. Am I winning?
It doesn't give me witty repartee.
Chandler teleports in and is just like, "Oh, awfully cheeky. Could you be any more cheeky for a human?" And tries to exterminate him. Blasts him away. But then his head gets cut off. Like, just whop, head off of body. And he says, Arthur says, "Don't underestimate humans." And so the one that beat up Keith and is holding the head, I don't remember this guy's name. Arthur just, like, goes past him, takes Keith out of his hands, and fucking, like, bisects the guy. Just cuts him from, like, shoulder down and just cleaves him.
He cuts his arm off first and catches Keith as he drops, and then
and everyone's like, how is he doing this? Like, how is Arthur this skilled? Like, these are incredible moves. And Zeldris is fighting him and starts to recognize something he's doing. He says, that's the dance of Evita. And it's the moves of a human warrior a long time ago who was blind, compare any sneak attack. And basically, anytime someone asks him why he's able to do this, he repeats, humans aren't to be underestimated. Humans aren't to be underestimated. He keeps doing all these various different attacks used by, like, legendary heroes throughout all time. And what seems to happen here is Arthur starts to explain the story behind, I guess Arthur and Merlin explained the story behind Excalibur. How originally it was a sword without any magic to it. It was given to King Cafin, and he was a master swordsman who fought with it bravely. But at the end, he used his blood and soul to purify the sword for someone who would be his successor. And strangely enough, the sword accepted the power and basically passed his skills on to the next person. And then that person did the same thing. And then that person did the same thing. And essentially the sword gained all the powers and all the skills and talents of these swordsmen who used it, to the point where the sword seemed to almost gain its own sentience and began choosing its next wielder. And that's why the sword chooses its wielder. Arthur is its wielder, and as such passed down all these techniques throughout time. And that's why he's so special, because the sword chose him to lead them. So he has become literally a vessel for all of the kings throughout Britannia's history to bring their power through. And that's why he is a match for even what seems to be Melodious at this time.
Yeah, it's a really... this, kind of explanation for a power is like, it's passed on from one to the next, and so it gathers the skills and stuff like that. I've seen it done for so many times over the course of many years, but it's one that makes sense for Arthur as, the inheritor of this kind of thing, to have this sort of a one for all style inheritance power. But yeah, so I'm satisfied with the explanation of the way he gets this sudden immediate power up.
I liked it a lot. I think, yeah, as you said, this is something that we've seen a lot, but the way it's executed here feels right. Like Arthur never feels like an annoying character, and he feels like someone that the sword would kind of choose. Like, it would be different if he's like the Wizard King for Black Clover. Like, I was just born special innately, but it seems like the sword actively kind of chose him because of what he could potentially give. So I like that it feels like this power means something. And I don't know if he's necessarily I don't think he's going to beat Melodious and everybody else like that. They've made a point that Merlin's going to be going out to try to rescue him, but I like that it makes Arthur an important character in all this, when as otherwise he was just kind of this side plot sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I dug it a lot.
Yeah, me too. All right. So let's go on then to Black Clover. So it's page 145, Julius Novachrono. Last time, things weren't looking very good for Leash, as he was trying to kill the Wizard King, so he unleashed his Mega Kingdom Destroy E-Magic, going to attack the populace of the kingdom itself, rather than trying to kill the Wizard King, since it seemed as though he wasn't really making much headway there. So, we get him doing that, and we get a flashback from the Wizard King, going into more about his rise to the title of Wizard King. And it's going to skip through that page and that page because honestly, the first like 6 pages or so basically cover the 4 sentences that I explained how happened there.
Nick, but this is such a sentimental chapter. You need to explain everything in great detail.
Okay. Well, I literally I was just kind of skipping past the whole. I was like, he unleashes this giant attack in the first 4 pages. So basically, the Wizard King had always heard, since he, came from a noble family and stuff, people saying, it's like, oh, the commoners, they're so terrible at magic and everything. No wonder they're peasants. It's amazing that they're even alive. And so the Wizard King was just like, I don't know about that. It's like, what? And so he thinks like, okay, but here's the thing, though. The people who are in the nobility, they've got all this mana, but they don't really use it to accomplish anything. They just do it to accumulate wealth for themselves and do stuff only for themselves. And then on the battlefield, I met a man named Zara, the first peasant magic knight. His mana was weak, but he made expert use of trap spells, and his combat methods were carefully crafted. You could tell that his magic was as a result of a lot of hard work. While the other magic knights had eyes for nothing but personal glory, his priority was saving civilians. At the time, I didn't know the first thing about what it meant to be a magic knight, but even I thought he was what a true knight should be. So, there's that. Okay. Then, of course, Zara dies, and the nobility that's, the king went over here is like, oh, stupid peasants. They're like, oh, of course he died. Probably showed up beyond a station. A peasant died. That's all that happened. And so he realized there's something that's still wrong about this. It wasn't limited to the magic knights either in this country because of the class they were born into. The ones on top grew arrogant while the ones at the bottom gave up. Even though both sides could have had more potential, it seemed like such a waste. The potential of magic and of humans is infinitely vast. In order to make your voice widely heard, you need power, rank, and trust. I built up a record of achievements and became the Wizard King. Magic and humans should be freer than this. There have been no dramatic changes. However, slowly but surely, the people of this country are finally starting to change. Through the strength of people I believe in and acknowledge, through the strength of the people they acknowledge. I can't let that end now. Now, I understand what's going on here, and I get what the whole point of this is. This is about how, the Wizard King sees potential in weird people. He gives different people a chance. For example, he gave Vengeance a chance. He gave Yami a chance. He really likes Asta, and so on and so forth. If you show potential, it doesn't matter where you're from. He just thinks that's interesting that he'll give you an opportunity to prove yourself. And this explains why, is because he thinks that that's the best way to just actually, people should basically always try and live up to their potential. And the current system that they have in place doesn't work because it causes things to be stagnant because of the class divide. Even the people at the top don't accomplish all that they should be able to do. Now, there's 2 issues that I have with that, though. First off, there's the thing that you point out when we got the whole, him confronting Zora. He was saying, I knew your father and stuff. It's like, so if you were so influenced by Zara, why didn't you do anything about his kids?
You're like, your father meant everything to me.
He showed me what it meant to be a true magic knight, and he set me on the right path, the path that I still follow as the Wizard King. So you didn't come visit me at the orphanage, or...
He didn't think that his, 8-year-old son needed some guidance along the way instead of brewing hatred and negativity towards others? Oh, was I knew I was forgetting something. Every day I'd come back and be like, no, I turned the oven off. There's something I know I'm supposed to be doing today, though. There's just a to-do list that says save Zara's kid. He's just like, all the lights are off. Did I pay the bill? Is there a bill I'm supposed to be paying that I forgot? I'm sure I'll remember it.
The second issue that I have is I don't think that this flashback explanation of his motivation really comes together, particularly in terms of his finding his purpose, his way of life. Because that was something that was touched upon in the previous chapter, where he was like, it was like, I was always trying to find, what all of this meant, what my identity was supposed to be. And then I realized as my accomplishments built up one after another that I am the Wizard King. That's who I am. But this seems to imply that, I am the Wizard King and this is the role that I have to fulfill. It's like, that's great. That does provide some context to particularly the action that he takes in this chapter, why he places that priority on the people. But it's missing that moment of realization, because clearly it establishes he didn't know what he was supposed to be doing. He met Zara. He learned what he was supposed to be doing. There needs to be that moment, just a moment. There really only need to be like one more page, I think, in order for this to be infinitely better, where he decides this is what he should be doing. It just needs to be that, like a full page spread or something like that of Julius, where he thinks like, I need to make this world a world where magic and humans can realize their true potential. And that's all that really needed. Like it just needs to be a little bit, drive it forward a little bit more, I think.
There's a lot I want to say on this that I don't think I can properly get across. I'm thinking about maybe doing a video of some kind on the Wizard King and his morals and beliefs, because there's a lot to unpack that I want to do more research on and things. There's some stuff I find a bit strange, like his whole statement. I mentioned before, like it was weird that he didn't seem to do anything for Zora, if Zara meant that much to him. But it's also weird in some of the statements he makes when it's like, that's why I've been trying to give the strength to these people so they could be acknowledged. It's like, but there's some people that are just dickheads in the Holy Knights that you could, like, Nozel is not a good guy. He's been an asshole, but you still make him a Holy Knight. Like, William Vangeance, you thought was a bad guy, and you just let him go. Like, it feels like he's saying that he's done all these noble things, but it doesn't really feel like that's actually the thing. It's like he was like, I let the Black Bulls hang around, and they've done kind of all that for me. And I took that and made it my legacy, or something like that. But I think what's really strange is I felt like there should have been a moment here when he does everything about this, like, stopping this huge attack. I felt like it should have been about the people of the Clover Kingdom as opposed to these individuals we've met along the way. Because he's not saving any of them. Most of those characters are off fighting Leash's forces right now in that dungeon. So instead of having
none of our main characters are actually in danger.
Yeah, like instead of this montage of all these characters that are
what you're saying, Chris, is this was the perfect moment for Rebecca, who's not an important character, to show up as one of the people in danger.
She honestly would have been a good person to have there, or just have him talk about the Clover Kingdom as a whole, like this idea of like, I believe that they're moving on the right track. I believe that these are people worth saving. I believe that these people aren't what Leash thinks they are, or something like that. It sort of says like he's just thinking like, I need to save all my friends, but I guess to do that I gotta save these people. Like it just doesn't have that connect that perfectly makes that moment fit between the two. Because he's not really speaking to the Clover Kingdom. He's kind of speaking to his own legacy.
To the people with magical potential, honestly.
Yeah. And it's like, that's not really what this is about. This is about Leash trying to commit genocide over your town as like a fuck you move. And it's like, I don't know. It's not that I'm shitting on it because I'm like, it's bad. I think the disconnect isn't there. Or there is a disconnect there, rather.
I think that there is. That's my primary problem with this chapter, is that it's not quite there. Like, you got point A and you got point B, and they're both good solid points, and then you just kind of, it's not quite a good connection between them.
Oh, we actually do see Rebecca, Nick.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, Rebecca, who is not an important character, is on page 98. I think that's her with her two little siblings. I think. It's tough to tell. They don't make it like a focus panel on her.
It is hard to tell, and also there's no like label on her, like she
like a little arrow that says Rebecca. She's here.
No, because she had one during the Magic Knights ceremony with.
Oh, that's right. They're like, they'll remember it from her.
where she had a label like Rebecca, who is here for work, you know.
All right, so maybe Rebecca actually does show up.
Maybe Rebecca, who's not an important character. Or rather, maybe Rebecca, who might not be an important character.
Yeah. It might also be random citizen with long hair and two younger kids near. I don't know.
Who knows? So, Julius unleashes his ultimate technique, time reversal magic, chronoanastasis. A huge image of a clock face appears over the entire area that the light swords are raining down on, causing them to reverse and disappear. And all of the giant cataclysmic attack fades away. At that moment, Leashed says, "Time magic great enough to save the entire population. I'd expect no less from you. However, it looks like you've used up your stores of time and mana. You must have seen my attack too, but you couldn't cancel that time spell in order for you to evade because you are the Wizard King." And there's a full-page spread of Leashed having struck Julius right through the chest with a huge sword of light. And he says, "Being the Wizard King, that was your only weakness," as Julius falls to the ground just as Yami arrives on the scene. To give Black Clover some credit, Leashed's part in all of this was done really well. He played a perfect dickhead villain move. If I can't beat you directly, I will endanger all the population while you're distracted protecting them as the Wizard King. Then in that moment of distraction, I will kill you. No complaints. Good stuff. And this is the best that Leash has looked in the entire series. He wasn't necessarily stronger than the Wizard King, but he found a way to actually kill him straight up. Without... Basically, he didn't pin him clean, but he got as close as you're going to get.
And I do like the idea, too, of the Wizard King dying basically in the effort of saving his entire kingdom. Like, that's a very, like, kingly kind of sacrifice.
Yeah. It's, you know... So, good stuff there. I think that this could have been a brilliant chapter if the flashback had been a little bit more on point. As was the time happening in the present. It's really good. Time happening in the past, not quite so much. So, all right. Let's move on to One Piece. This is probably going to be a relatively quick discussion, honestly.
Heck, I have hours and hours of comments on Snake Man.
Well, okay.
Oh wait, no, it looks cool. All right, sorry, I had one comment on Snake Man. Sorry.
Chapter 895: Luffy the Pirate versus General Katakuri. Snake Man, I was kind of surprised with how not snake-like he looks, but then it makes sense pretty quickly. So Luffy says right off the bat, "I'm faster," and he launches a stretchy punch at Katakuri, who is a bit confused by this, and then he manages to get punched across the face anyway, despite having dodged it. And he's like, "What the fuck? I swear I just dodged that." It turns out that in this form, Luffy can basically just keep on stretching his arm, and he can actually redirect it so his arm bends around while he's doing this. It's cool. And also, it makes sense with the whole Snake Man thing. It winds around and strikes very suddenly while stretching out, like a cobra strike. And he says that even while he is stretching, he can actually accelerate his punches, which makes no sense, but hockey, I guess. Katakuri manages to get in a really good strike despite this, and I do appreciate that even when Luffy has kicked things up into his presumably, final form for this fight, that Katakuri is just so strong that he can still keep up with him. And for there is just like a bunch of punching. It's just pure knockdown, drag out combat for the whole chapter. There's not a whole lot to talk about.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about in the sense that it's really good action. I've loved this fight thus far, and this is another chapter where you're like, holy shit, this is a good fight. Maybe part of the reason I'm so jaded when it comes to good fights, because One Piece has had, in my opinion, some of the best of all time, and they always last, like, multiple chapters, like the really good ones. So when, like, a big fight happened in, like, Fairy Tail, like, it's over in a week, whatever. And then it's like, maybe I'm just holding it up to the high standard that One Piece was able to, like, carry out a great fight over, like, 7 or 8 chapters, because it's insane how, like, interesting and back and forth and, like, crazy cool this fight has been.
And I love the shot of Katakuri after he slammed Luffy into the ground. Like, he looks like a monster in that in that follow-through shot.
Yeah.
Luffy starts just like shouting out everything on his mind. He's like, "It hurts! Ah, pain! I'm hungry." And Katakuri's like, "What are you doing?" And Luffy's just like, "I'm just saying everything I'm thinking because I feel better that way." So they punch each other a whole lot. Luffy does what seems to be the Snake Man version of Gum Gum Gatling, which is Black Mamba. So he's doing, his rapid fire punches, but they're also ricocheting around at different angles. And even so, like, Katakuri's still dodging through them. He kicks Luffy in the face. I like how whenever he's dashing forward at this point, Katakuri is taking the form of a donut in order to... It's like he's spin attacking. It's like he's good. Sonic. He's doing a homing attack in Sonic the Hedgehog. He tries to use the same attack that he struck Luffy with before, which is Buzz Cut Mochi. And while Luffy, basically his arm goes past Katakuri, then bends back around behind him in order to come back around for another punch, which he calls King Cobra. And it looks like that this is going to be the final blow of the fight. It's like, ah! I know that, like, there's no way that we can talk about this chapter for an incredibly long time. It's just pure action, not a lot of dialogue, not a lot of individual stuff to talk about because it's just they punch each other a lot. Yeah,
but it's really good. I really want to say it's a really great chapter in my mind. It's just there's not much you can say when it's pure action, since there's not a whole lot there that you could appreciate beyond saying, like, this is cool.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's the manga for this week. So I guess we'll name our favorites.
I'm gonna go with chapter of the week is One Piece. I thought this was a really great chapter, really exciting, really fun, high-paced action. This has definitely been one of the best fights of One Piece in my mind.
I agree 100%. Very, very exciting chapter. Like, I was actually, as we were going through, I was just like, what are we going to choose for my chapter of the week? And then we got to One Piece, like, oh, right, of course I'm going to go with One Piece.
And
awesome fight.
I'm going to give my character MVP then in that same way. I'm going to give it to Luffy. I know Tekken gave it to him last week, and I was like, I can understand, but this is the chapter I feel like I give it to Luffy because he's shown so many cool techniques off this, so I'm super pumped and excited to see all this stuff and see what King Cobra does at the end. Like, does it win? It's a very cool kind of climactic moment here.
I'm actually going to give mine to Rizu.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
Chill. Jesus. So, yeah, I mean, I liked the various different reactions that she had to stuff that was going on. I did like her antics, and I liked the very human moments that she had with Yuiga in this chapter. And also, it wasn't a chapter about her boobs. Hooray!
Rizu's boobs do not need more chapters.
Hashtag Rizu's boobs do not need more chapters. That's going to do it, everyone.
Hashtag Unyielding read. I think they do need more chapters. Why shouldn't they get more chapters? I want
more of those titties.
I want more chapters about her boobs, okay? It's fine we have that, all right? We can have both sides. And I want this side now.
Why is there all this movement in favor of women having characters and stuff? It was fine when they were just used as sex objects.
I'm going to make a cut of We Never Learned that's going to be nothing but Ogata's boobs. I'm going to cut out all of the strong character development scenes and just include the ones about hot character girls having nakedness.
Headline. Reed Richards' cut of Rizu Ogata's boobs edition of We Never Learned is actually remarkably long, come to think of it.
It's surprisingly long, despite
there's actually quite a few instances of it. All right. We want to thank you guys for joining us here on smashcast.tv/Rolot, as well as Twitchcast. It's not Twitchcast, twitch.tv/Rolot. I fucked it up so many times.
Why can't it be Twitchcast?
Why can't it be Twitchcast? We normally record the show currently around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. And if you want to stay updated on any changes that we have to make, you can follow us on Twitter. At WMR Podcast is the official podcast account. And then your hosts are at Roloti and at Nick F. Time. Be sure to check out our past episodes on all the different sites that we host them on. weeklymangarecap.podbean.com, on iTunes, on our YouTube channel. And if you check us out on iTunes, be sure to leave us a comment and a rating and subscribe. That way, you can help out the metrics and help us to become king of the hobby section and conquer all those woodworking assholes. Send feedback, ask questions to our Q&A episodes, suggest future manga for us to read. Send that stuff via email to weeklymangarecap@yahoo.com. Special thanks go out to our Patreon supporters. Your support allows us to create all sorts of bonus content for you guys to enjoy. We have been busy this week producing bonus stuff for you guys. The commentary for several Digimon episodes, the latest as explained by Manga, which we recorded just yesterday. You're going to want to check that one out. We had some very interesting stuff to say. Well, I did, and Chris had some interesting comments to offer. Special thanks go out as well to the guys who help make our podcast what it is. Steve Mann, our Tyler Carter. You can check out his work on a number of different places, including his own Patreon and Infamous Planet. And that's going to do it.
Yep. All right. What do we want to say as we head off into that sunset, Nick? As we ride off.
No.
Good.
No.
All right. Great commentary.
I don't want to say anything. I've got nothing left to say, so I'm not going to say anything.
I don't need to talk, all right? Women should just be glad that I appreciate who they are. I don't need to value
Anyway,
them.
I'm going to drop this subject right now. Anyway, I'm done talking with you. I'm just going to talk about it privately without adding you for 40 more posts.
Oh, man. Unyielding read on Twitter is going to be a terrible fucking gig out. All right.
That's it. Bye, everyone.
Bye.